No one has the right to touch you or make you feel uncomfortable in any way. It is not your fault, nor have you asked to be put in such a horrible situation. I've had to deal with sexual assault at a young age. 2 different situations, and I can't tell you how much it has changed me, how much it affected me. I also have been dealing with my ADHD. So school, learning has never been easy for me. I still like school. I had friends and I enjoyed trying to sign up and go out for things and teams and stuff like that. We ended up moving to a new school in a new city, and things just got a heck of a lot worse. I started getting bullied, not just by my peers, but teachers and principals, and it was really hard for me to make friends. The only friends I could make were people who were younger than I was. I remember just being able to finally go to a semi-formal because our grades were eligible enough to go together. I was afraid that if I had gone without them and I had went, with my grade, that I would have ended up like the next Carrie movie. I remember walking through the doors, and my mom, she had bought me this dress, and she had done my hair. She even did my makeup, and my science teacher, of course, was right there. He was probably the second worst teacher I had. And he says to me, "Wow, Melissa, is that you? I didn't even recognize you. You look so good for once. You should try to dress like this more often." Can't tell you what that made me feel like, especially, to hear those comments around everyone else. We went to school, we wore uniforms, so it's not even like we had the chance to dress like we wanted. I stopped going to classes. It's one thing to be bullied by your peers, but it's another thing when the teachers not only sometimes would just sit there and allow it to happen, but even join in, or were even worse than some of the students. I couldn't take it anymore, and I kept getting thrown in their classes year after year, so I just stopped going. I got people to do my work for me. I remember being in the hallways of school, just, talking with my friends, and then all of a sudden I would get my memories, and then I would start banging my head against the locker. My friend Steve, he would put his hand in between my head and the locker, and he'd be like, "Melissa, what are you doing? You're going to hurt yourself." I'd be like, "I don't care. It's better than the memories. I want it to stop. I don't want to remember. I just want it to go away." I started drinking a lot, not just at parties and out of school, but in school as well. My friends, we would go to the caf or to the washrooms and try to find an OAC to drive us to the beer store, and we would get a 40 and lock ourselves in the girls' washroom and start drinking it until the principal would catch us, which she always did. She would roll her eyes and yell and walk us to our class, and then 10-15 minutes later we would just go back in the washroom and start all over again. I was hanging out with the wrong crowds, and I made a lot of mistakes. I got into a relationship very early. Part of me wanted to feel safe and cared about. Part of me just really wanted to be loved. Not one person who met this man liked him or had a positive thing to say about him. Every person could see him for exactly what he was. And I could too. It's just I kept lying to myself and making excuses. You know, it lasted like 6 years on and off, and not only was he cheating on me with every frickin' stranger possible, but with people that I had grown to trust. Thought I could trust. I started experimenting with different drugs, mostly weed, and we were having this party at my house one time. My friend Steve, he was there, and you know, he is such an amazing soul. I am so lucky to have him. You know, he would do anything to protect people that he cares about. I got pretty drunk and I experimented with a drug, and I couldn't see my friend Steve. I could see my attacker, and I thought that he was coming to do it again and to kill me this time. You know, if I was sober, I would know that it wasn't true, but it just kind of shows the fear that you're always living in. I ran into the kitchen and grabbed the biggest knife I could find and started chasing my friend Steve around the house until he overpowered me, and he was like, "Melissa, stop it, it's me, and you know, he's not here, and if he's here, I'm here, and I'm not going to let him touch you, and I'm going to take care of him this time once and for all." You know, for the longest time, I would have a knife under my pillow or even in my nightstand, because I was always so scared, you know, if somebody was going to come in the middle of the night and attack me, and I'd have nothing to protect myself with. You know, I made a lot of mistakes, but I've learned a lot, especially in the last 2 years. I'm so thankful to have as many people in my life that have stood by me and been there for me, because God knows it hasn't been easy. And if the situation was reversed, I don't know if I could be as patient and as strong as they have been and still are. I have or had problems with authority figures. Always feeling like you're in danger, like somebody is going to hurt you, you're waiting for the ball to drop. When high school was finished, you know, I'd made friends with this girl. She came in the last year, and she started getting bullied pretty bad, and they actually were even calling her Carrie. They thought she looked a lot like her. I started befriending her because I knew what it was like, and I thought, you know, here's someone that I can be friends with, even someone my own age. So I introduced her to my own friends that, you know, I didn't even have, that were not in the school, because I had to also make friends, you know, that lived farther away, because all the schools in the area kind of talked, and you know, it was impossible to escape your reputation. So you know, my friends that I made were either in Markham or Richmond Hill or things like that. So I had introduced her to my friend Steven. It's a different Steve, and he lived a bit farther. So when he was in the area, you know, we would all kind of just hang out, because it's very rare that he comes by. So she went to pick him up. She had the car, and she brought her loser boyfriend Edwin, and they came over and started being ridiculous, like, "Oh, I know about you Portuguese people. You guys can't drink for shit." I don't know what it was about me back then, but I would hate when people would say I couldn't do something, so I would just go out of my way to prove I could. So we went to LCBO, and we bought like the big bottles of the, the Smirnoff vodka. I remember I had the raspberry and Steven had the green apple, and only reason I remember is because when you get so drunk off of something and it's all you can taste being sick, you'll just never drink it again. So we go back to the house, and my parents were away, and we started, and I had finished my bottle. My friend Steve only got through half, and he started kind of like, going in and out, and he wanted cigarettes. So I remember we all got in the car, and I remember, being in the parking lot and just screaming lyrics of Spice Girls and Backstreet Boys and just laughing, and then I don't remember anything else until waking up in the car, and it was nighttime and we were still driving, and I had to go pee, so I'm like, can we stop? And they were like, no. We were on the highway and I didn't realize, so I started, making a scene. I'm like, if you don't let me go, I'm gonna go in the car. So they pull over and I get out of the car, basically onto oncoming traffic, and as soon as I get out, I literally collapse on the floor. My friend, I don't even want to call her a friend, Becky and her loser boyfriend get out of the car and literally peel me off the floor before any cars come and throw me in, and we just keep driving. I don't remember getting there. I still don't even remember making it to the bedroom. There were two beds. One was like this, and one was like this. So my friend Steven was on this bed, and then I was on this bed. And I remember waking up and having Edwin on top of me and just telling him get off and stop, and I just remember, black. I don't even remember it finishing or stopping or anything like that. And when we woke up, he was still, sleeping beside me, and I woke up scared, like, what the hell? I went to my friend Steven, and I'm like, what is going on? We went to go find Becky and figure out, what had happened, and she's sleeping outside. And we're like, what the hell happened? And she had said that she came into the bedroom and asked Steven if she could share the bed with him, and he had said no. And she'd asked him, where do I sleep? And he's like, I don't care, outside. And she actually, as an idiot, went to go do it. It's her place. What normal person lets her boyfriend get into a bed with another person? So I call my ex. It's so strange that he was the person I went running to for help. Told him where we were, and I told him what happened, and he was so mad. Starts yelling at me saying, how could you get yourself into this, and demands that I get back. So I say, okay, we're coming, and we go to McDonald's for breakfast, and I tell Steven in the car what happened. He was so mad. And then, when Edwin goes to buy all our breakfast, we tell Becky basically what had happened, and she's all mad at me. Apparently he had talked to her already and said that I wanted him, that I was all over him, and I was on top of him, and I was riding him. I couldn't even walk. How could I be doing that? And how could you believe that? The one person who was your friend, who defended you and stuck up for you. So we get back to Maple, and my guy friends are waiting for me. But of course Edwin and Becky take off, and they're trying to hunt him down. They both run off to the States, not before, telling everybody that I basically am desperate, that I can't get anybody unless it's, my ex using me, and that I throw myself at people. I was so upset. The last I heard 2 years ago, she was knocked up with him, And he was still cheating on her. And she was very unhappy. You know, one of the things that I hate are when people say, you know, the past of the past, get over it. Or, you know, it's much worse, or they make a joke of it. To me, it's not funny. There's nothing funny about it. You know, be in the experience, especially when you're young and you don't know what's happening to you and you're being forced to feel things that you don't understand, and you're put in situations that you don't understand. You're so scared and you blame yourself, you start hating yourself. You're not alone. And just know that you are so strong. I hope that sharing my story has helped in some way. For me, you know, you don't want to dwell on the past, and you do want to get over it. And I've come a long way. These last 2 years have been really big for me. But for me, one of the things I like to use, is that example, is that there are worst case scenarios. You watch shows like Steve Wilkos and you see things where their fathers are raping them and the mothers don't believe them and stay with the fathers and they're stuck. Or even really dramatic cases, even in movies, where they're so badly tortured. And I like to use those things because you always can say it can always be worse. So you're always thankful for where you are today. And for me, that's what I like to use. So for someone else, especially people who've never been there and don't understand it, to kind of use it and be like, oh, get over it, it's no big deal. It really gets under my skin. But it is a great tool that you can use, because everybody's experience, no matter how bad it was, is still horrible. Rape is rape, assault is assault. But in any situation, it can always be worse. It could always have always, escalated. So you can use that as a method. I find it helps. And I received this quote recently from a friend, and she had said, "Forgive not because people deserve it, but because you deserve to live in peace." And I love that. And it's true. Like, for me, I have forgiven. I've went to one out of the 3 different people, and I've had to basically forgive them without getting an apology, and it was the hardest thing I did. But I felt a little bit different after it, like a weight was lifted a bit. It's never going to be perfect, because ask any doctor. They'll say it is almost the same as being a war victim, because you always have those memories and those flashes, and you can't make them 100% go away. But you can try your best to control them. And, I've learned a lot of different methods in these last 2 years, and I've become a lot stronger. I've changed my surroundings and the people that are around me. So I feel like I've come a long way. Yes, it may have taken me a long time, but life is all about learning. And as long as we're here and as long as we keep trying, that's all that matters. You have a voice. Use it. You deserve to be protected. You deserve justice in any way you see fit. You're not alone, and you are loved. So please please ask for help if you need it. And don't blame yourself, because it is not your fault. Even if you are wearing next to nothing, it is not an invitation for somebody to do whatever they want